Did you know there are about 8 million different animal species on Earth? However, we've only really learned about 1.2 million of them. Some of these animals are super rare, and it's pretty unlikely that most of us will ever see them in real life. In today's video, we'll be checking out 25 of the rarest animal species on Earth. Welcome back to Wildlife Talking. I create videos about nature on my channel to teach you interesting things in a fun way. If you enjoy these videos, please show your support by giving the video a thumbs up, leaving a comment, or subscribing to my channel. Amur Leopards. The Amur leopard is one of the rarest animals globally, with only around 100 of them left in the wild. They live in the Primorsky Krai region of Russia and the Jilin province in northeast China. These areas are well protected, and harming an Amur leopard can lead to a jail term of 5 to 7 years and a hefty fine. These leopards have adapted to tough weather conditions. In winter, their fur becomes thick, measuring 7 centimeters, while in summer, it thins down to 2.5 centimeters. They are incredibly beautiful with unique black spots and flecks, making them one of the most visually appealing animals globally. Interestingly, each leopard has a distinctive spot pattern, similar to how humans have unique fingerprints. Hectors Dolphins. Hectors dolphins are among the smallest marine dolphins globally, not getting longer than 1.5 meters. There are around 15,000 of them in the wild, and they can only be found in the waters around New Zealand. There are two types, Hectors dolphins in the South Island and Maui dolphins in the North Island. These dolphins stand out with their round dorsal fin and black and white markings all over their bodies, different from the hooked or curved fins of other dolphins. Ili Pika. Meet the Ili Pika, often described as looking like little teddy bears. These adorable creatures were first found in northwestern China more than 20 years ago. They are incredibly rare, with locals only seeing them 29 times since 1983. Unlike their relatives in America, Ili Pika live way up high, between 2,000 to 4,000 meters above sea level. In 2014, scientists rediscovered them in the Tian Shan Mountains. These little mammals are about 8 inches long, have small gray heads, big ears, and brown spots on their fur. Despite their small size, they survive on mountain grasses and herbs. Back in the 1990s, there were more than 2,000 Ili Pikas in the wild. Sadly, their numbers have dropped, and scientists think it's because of changes in the climate. Mediterranean monk seal. The Mediterranean monk seal is one of the rarest monk seal types still around, and there are only 600 to 700 of them left in the wild. They mostly live in certain places like the Eastern Mediterranean, Southwestern Mediterranean, Madeira Archipelago, and Mauritania. Another type, the Hawaiian monk seal, is the most endangered seal in the world. Sadly, the third type, the Caribbean monk seal, disappeared and became extinct in the 1900s. Kakapo. The kakapo is a special kind of parrot that can't fly and stays awake at night. It can live for 60 years and is originally from New Zealand. Unfortunately, when people came to New Zealand and brought cats with them, the kakapo population suffered a lot. Some thought the parrot was gone forever in its home. But the government decided to help. They moved some kakapos to smaller islands where they would be safer. Now, there are 116 grown-up kakapos on these islands. The area is well protected, and experts keep an eye on all the adults, making sure they're healthy. By testing the adults' ability to have babies and giving them extra food, more baby kakapos are being born, and the whole group is doing better. The Sumatran Rhinoceros is the smallest type of rhino, and it's special because it's the only Asian rhino with 2 horns. Sadly, these rhinos are in big trouble and are one of the most endangered large animals. There are probably less than 30 of them left in the whole world. These rhinos used to live in places like eastern India and southern China, and then they moved to Sumatra and nearby islands. But things got tough for them because of rising sea levels and changes in the weather, which messed up where they live. Vaquita. Vaquitas are a type of small porpoise, and sadly, there are now believed to be fewer than 20 of them left in the wild. Back in 1997, there were over 600. Today, these tiny animals only live in the Gulf of California, off the coast of Mexico. They're the smallest aquatic mammals, only about 4.5 feet long. One big problem they face is getting caught accidentally in fishing nets while people are trying to catch taotuabas, a type of fish popular in China. This bycatch is a major reason why their population has gone down. Governments and international groups are working hard to try and save these last few vaquitas. The Chinese giant salamander. Chinese giant salamander is the largest amphibian in the world and one of the biggest salamanders. This gentle giant can grow to be over 1.4 meters long, 4.5 feet, and weigh 53 kilograms, 114 pounds. They make their homes in the Yangtze River basin in central China. Sadly, their population is decreasing a lot because their homes are getting destroyed and people are hunting them too much. Chacoan Peccary. The Chacoan Peccary, also known as tagua, is the only type of peccary left in its group called Catagonus. These animals are thought to be the closest living relatives of a now extinct animal called Platygonus. They used to live in a few separate places in South America, but now they're only found in the Gran Chaco region, which includes parts of Paraguay, Bolivia, and Argentina. There are now fewer than 1,000 of them in the wild. These animals look a bit like pigs, with bristle-like hair on their back and a tough snout. Red wolves. Red wolves are in big trouble and are now considered critically endangered. These wolves are originally from the southeastern parts of the United States. They're not as big as gray wolves, but not as small as coyotes. Grown-up red wolves usually weigh between 25 to 40 kilograms and are 50 to 60 inches long. In the past, people captured over 400 red wolves from the wild in 1973, but only 17 of them were true red wolves. This led to efforts to save them, and they were bred in captivity. After 16 years, 8 red wolves were released back into the wild and they successfully had babies outside captivity. Sadly, people and their activities have caused the red wolf population to drop. Now, there are only 8 red wolves left in the wild and we need to work hard to protect them. Addax. The Addax is an antelope from Africa that mostly lives in the Sahara Desert. It's also called the white antelope or screwhorn antelope because of its cool spiral horns, which can grow to be 75 to 110 centimeters long. These antelopes are a bit stocky with shorter legs, which makes them slow and an easy target for bigger predators. Male addaxes weigh around 115 kilograms, while females weigh about 90 kilograms. Something interesting about them is that their fur changes color with the weather. It's pale in the summer and smoky gray in the winter. Unfortunately, in the last part of the 1900s, the Addax almost disappeared because people were hunting them a lot and forests were getting changed into areas for machines. Today, there are less than 500 of them left in the wild, so it's important to protect them. Philippine Crocodile. The Philippine crocodile is one of the most endangered types of crocodiles. It's also known as Bukarat, Mindoro crocodile, and Philippine freshwater crocodile. These crocodiles are on the smaller side, growing to only 1.5 meters long and weighing 15 kilograms when they are fully grown. Right now, there are only a few of them left, and they live in the northern Sierra Madre Natural Park. The number of these crocodiles is less than 100, and the main reason for their decline is that people are taking away their homes by moving into their habitats. South China tiger. The South China tiger used to roam in places like Hunan, Fujian, Guangdong, and Jiangxi provinces in China. In the 1950s, there were about 4,000 of these tigers in the wild. Sadly, after the 1980s, no one has seen a single South China tiger in their natural habitat. The reason for this drop in numbers is because their homes are getting messed up and people are hunting them. There's a worry that these tigers might be completely gone from the wild. Since 1985, there are only about 40 pure South China tigers left, and they live in zoos. The latest reports from 2016 say that there are 19 of them in a special reserve called Lauhu Valley in South Africa. Greater bamboo lemur. The greater bamboo lemur is a very rare type of monkey, and it was listed as one of the 25 most endangered primates in the world for 8 years in a row. People thought it was gone forever, but in 1986, a few of them were found in the southeastern and central parts of Madagascar. Now there are more than 500 of these lemurs living in the wild. They're also called broad-nosed bamboo lemurs or broad-nosed gentle lemurs, and they only weigh about 2.5 kilograms. Ligers. Ligers are special cats born to a dad lion and a mom tiger. People make ligers in places where animals live in captivity, and they get features from both parents, but in different amounts. Male lions do a lot of competing when they mate, and they have genes that make the babies grow a lot. That's why ligers end up being bigger and heavier than their mom and dad. The biggest liger ever recorded was more than 11 feet long and weighed over 1,000 kilograms. In 2017, there were about 100 ligers known to exist. There's also another big cat mix called a tigan, and it's born when a dad tiger and a mom lion have a baby. Most ligers and tigans can't have babies themselves, but there have been a few exceptions. Peruvian spider monkey. Peruvian spider monkeys, also known as black-faced black spider monkeys, are in big danger and are one of the most endangered animals. They live in the Amazon forests of Brazil, Bolivia, and Peru. These monkeys play an important role in the environment because their special thumb helps them swing from tree to tree, spreading the seeds of many trees in the Amazon rainforest. In 2003, people thought they were okay, but in less than 20 years, they became a threatened species. The number of these monkeys has gone down because people are taking away their homes, and humans are using them in a way that hurts them. Javan Rhinos used to live all over Southeast Asia, but their numbers have dropped a lot because people hunted them and their homes disappeared. Now, there are only about 75 Javan rhinos left, and they can only be found on the island of Java in Indonesia. The Ujung Kulon National Park is the only place where these rhinos still live, and it's a special area that people want to protect because it's a World Heritage Site. Unfortunately, there's a problem with a type of palm called arenga palm taking over the area, so the rhinos have less food and less space to move around. Because there are so few Javan rhinos left, they are in danger of disappearing because of things like natural disasters, diseases, people hunting them, and having babies with close relatives. Sunda Island tiger. The Sunda Island tiger, also known as the Sumatran tiger, is the smallest kind of tiger in the world, weighing up to 140 kilograms. To give you an idea, the tigers in the Amur region are the largest, with males weighing up to twice as much as Sunda Island tigers. These tigers are very rare, with only about 600 left in the wild, and they can only be found on the Indonesian island of Sumatra. Since the 1980s, the number of people living in Southeast Asia has almost doubled, from 357 million to around 668 million in 2020. This has affected the number of tigers because their homes are getting smaller. As more people move into the area, Sunda Island tigers might run into them more often, causing conflicts between humans and tigers. Poaching, which means killing tigers for their body parts, and illegal trading of tiger parts are also big problems that threaten their survival. Mountain gorillas. Mountain gorillas are a special type of gorilla that lives in high-altitude forests on mountains in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. There's also a group of them in the Bwindi Impenetrable National Park in Uganda. The places where they live have had some problems like political issues and a lot of poverty. This has made things hard for the gorillas because more than 500,000 people live near their homes now. People need food, shelter, and space, so they've been moving closer to where the gorillas live. Even though it's tough, there are efforts to help the mountain gorillas. Local and international groups, along with the WWF through the International Gorilla Conservation Program, are working to protect them. Right now, there are a bit over 1,000 mountain gorillas in the wild, but they are still endangered. There are still challenges that could slow down their recovery. Tapanuli Orangutan. The Tapanuli Orangutan is a new kind of orangutan that scientists identified in 2017. There's only one group of these orangutans, and they live in a special place called the Batang Toru ecosystem on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia. These orangutans, who spend most of their time in trees, are in big trouble and are considered critically endangered. There are less than 800 of them left in the wild, making them the most endangered kind of big apes in the world. The main reason for this is that the places where they live, the tropical forests, are getting destroyed for things like farming, mining, and making energy. Between 1985 and 2007, more than 40% of the forests in the area where Tapanuli orangutans live were lost. Yangtze Finless porpus. The Yangtze finless porpus is a special kind of porpoise that lives in the Yangtze River in China. It's the only freshwater porpoise left in the world, and it's in real danger. It's critically endangered. The Yangtze River is really important for keeping the environment healthy, but it's been hurt by pollution, overfishing, and other problems. This is affecting many animals, including the fineless porpoise. A long time ago, there used to be Yangtze River dolphins living with the fineless porpoises, but no one has seen any dolphins for the past 20 years. This could be a sign that more bad things might happen to endangered species, like the Yangtze finless porpoise. To help protect these porpoises, China made them a first-level protected species in 2021, which is the highest level of protection in the country. In 2018, there were still about 1,000 of them in the wild, and their numbers were getting more stable. Black rhino. Black rhinos faced a big problem between 1960 and 1995 because many of them were killed by poachers. Around 98% of them were gone during that tough time. But people worked hard to protect them, and the number of black rhinos in Africa has more than doubled since the 1990s. Even so, they are still in big danger, and the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, says they are critically endangered. There are about 5,630 of them left in the wild. There are 3 types of black rhinos left, but one type, the western black rhino, disappeared in 2011. Most of the black rhinos, 95% of them, live in just 4 countries: Kenya, Namibia, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. The biggest threat to them is still poaching for their horns. In the last 10 years, almost 10,000 African rhinos were killed because of the illegal trade in rhino horns. African forest elephant. In the thick, damp forests of West and Central Africa lives a special kind of elephant called the African forest elephant. They are one of the 2 types of African elephants. The exact number of these elephants is hard to know because they are very shy, but we do know that they are in big trouble. They are critically endangered and their population has dropped a lot, around 86% in just 31 years. The main reason for this decline is poaching, where people hunt and kill them for their tusks. This happens a lot, especially in Central Africa. Besides that, the places where they live are being changed for farming and other uses, and this is causing problems for the elephants. It's making their homes smaller and leading to conflicts between elephants and people. Now, African forest elephants only live in about 25% of the places they used to live, and they are spread across 20 different African countries, mostly in Gabon and the Republic of Congo. Sumatran Orangutan. Sumatran orangutans are a special kind of orangutan that only lives on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia. Right now, they are in big trouble and are critically endangered, with less than 14,000 of them left in the wild. These orangutans are facing similar problems as their relatives in Borneo and Tapanuli. Their homes are getting destroyed by things like cutting down trees, making big farms, and building more roads. There's also a problem with people taking them to keep as pets, which is not good for the orangutans. Orangutans need big areas of connected forest to live in, but between 1985 and 2007, they lost 60% of their homes. Most of the Sumatran orangutans now live in the northern part of Sumatra in a special place called the Ligers ecosystem. This area has rainforests and swamps, and it's really important for their survival. Hawksbill turtle. The hawksbill turtle is one of 7 types of sea turtles, and it lives in warm waters near the coasts of the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans. It's hard to know exactly how many of them there are, but it's estimated to be between 20,000 and 23,000 nesting turtles. Turtles are tricky to count because they travel a lot in the ocean. In the last 30 years, the number of hawksbill turtles has gone down a lot, by at least 80%. This happened because they accidentally get caught in fishing gear. Their nesting places are getting damaged, coral reefs where they live are being harmed, and people illegally trade their shells and other things made from them. There are more problems that could hurt these turtles in the future, like plastic pollution, changes in the climate, and rising sea levels. Right now, hawksbill turtles are in big danger and are listed as critically endangered. Thank you for joining us on this journey to explore the incredible world of wildlife. If you enjoyed learning about these amazing animals, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more fascinating insights into the wonders of nature. If you have a favorite animal or a topic you'd like us to cover in the future, feel free to let us know in the comments below. Your feedback and suggestions are important to us. Until next time, stay curious, stay wild, and keep exploring the wonders of our incredible planet. See you in the next video.